Video games are so insanely unique that it's kinda stupid. Do you like steampunk body horror and fucking Pinocchio? Then Lies of P is a perfect fit for you. Do you like self-driven exploration and burning grass? Ring ring, hello? What's that, Nintendo? There's a hot MILF in my area breathing wildly? Do you like marine biology and shitting yourself? Then check out Subnautica. Fucking Christ! Oh my god! Oh my god! And while these games are unique, it doesn't mean they were created without inspirations. Video games and media as a whole are constantly taking inspirations from everything, everywhere, whether you know it or not. Flashback in time when video games were 2 pixels vaguely changing colors on the family tube TV, it was hard to take inspiration from anything other than Pong or probably cave drawings. But that didn't stop them from trying. E.T. for the Atari is still one of the worst rated games of all time. You gotta put in the work to stay on top. But games have evolved to the point that they can take inspiration from other mediums in a way that is unique to video games. Whether it be literature, movies, art, real life, or other video games. I started thinking about what inspires art a few days ago. I've been on a Studio Ghibli binge, so I found myself watching Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind for the first time. In between these beautiful, sweeping shots of this desolate, apocalyptic landscape and these beautifully written moments of character interaction, there was this nagging feeling that I couldn't get out of the back of my head. This looks like Star Wars The Force Awakens! And that moment got me thinking about all the times that I've seen other works referenced or used in video games. Because I'm a chronic virgin. Miyazaki's Studio Ghibli, the guys who made Nausicaa, are so masterful in their presentation and storytelling that they have a metaphorical death grip on creative inspiration, inspiring things as big as blockbuster motion picture Star Wars, and as small as an indie game known as Little Nightmares. Little Nightmares is a game that I've had installed on my computer for upwards of 2 years and I still haven't played it. I just know a lot about it. All this footage is stolen, probably, unless I decided to play it. Along with being incredibly good at foreshadowing upcoming areas with background imagery, that doesn't have anything to do with this video, I just wanted to mention it. The game also takes heavy and obvious inspiration from Miyazaki's Spirited Away. But where Spirited Away is a mostly lighthearted romp through the spirit world, Little Nightmares says, hey, what if instead of that, we shit in your pants for you? It takes a similar atmosphere and contorts it, taking all the negative or uncanny aspects and making it incredibly unsettling. Take this scene where Chihiro's parents eat so much that it turns them into pigs. That's pretty unsettling in itself. Now compare it to this area, a ship full of bloated, greedy rich people doing the same thing, but this time they also want to eat you. That obvious inspiration in terms of environment and character design serve this scene incredibly well in terms of uncanniness. It's also an incredibly good use of food as a horror element, which is something that I love and I don't think this game gets enough praise for. It creates an interesting dichotomy because food is something we typically associate with comfort, like is the case with Bogart in Elden Ring. Oh my god, guys, it's time to talk about FromSoft. FromSoft, it's FromSoft time. It's almost impossible to talk about video game inspiration without talking about the Soulsborne games, plus Elden Ring, plus Sekiro, HD Special Edition. FromSoft games take a lot of inspiration from books and movies and other video games and themselves. And Dark Souls games are so steeped in the ideas and creations of others that it is exceptional that these games are as unique as they are. It's not a secret that Dark Souls borrows a ton from Berserk. Some of the coolest armor and weapons from these games are taken almost one-to-one from Berserk. Look at Artorias the Abyss Watcher from Dark Souls and the Berserker armor from Berserk. Those shit-ass fucking wheel skeletons? Berserk. But if a game borrows ideas and mechanics and items from other mediums, then what makes the game unique and interesting? That's when you start to see developers drawing from their own life experiences. Souls games have an incredibly unique form of multiplayer where instead of having a constant companion with you, you can summon someone to help you with an area, or they can invade and murder you. That mechanic is inspired by Miyazaki, a different Miyazaki than the Studio Ghibli Miyazaki. It's inspired by Miyazaki's real-life experience of getting his car stuck in the snow. Some helpful strangers came by, helped free his car, and then disappeared into the night, and he never saw them again. I'm now going to smoothly transition over to talking about my favorite FromSoft title, Bloodborne. Cue the transition. Do the transition. Do the Bloodborne is, in my opinion, Dark Souls 1, but good. It perfectly encourages fast, aggressive combat in a way that Dark Souls just doesn't. I also think that Bloodborne has a better world than Dark Souls, which is crazy because, like, 87.643% of this is inspired by something else. On the surface, Bloodborne is simple. It's a beast-coated plague environment that's obviously inspired by an average day on the streets of London. But as you progress and begin to realize there's more going on, your gothic horror game slowly becomes an eldritch horror game, taking after the works of H.P. Lovecraft and An Average Day in the Streets of London. The entire game is based around Great Ones and eldritch truth, but a good singular place to show Lovecraft's inspiration is here in an area called the Fishing Hamlet. The Fishing Hamlet is kinda what it sounds like, a secluded fishing village, but made of fish people and also things that look like this. The Fishing Hamlet is based on Innsmouth from Lovecraft's The Shadow over Innsmouth, which is a book that I started reading because of Bloodborne. Being inspired by and borrowing from other works doesn't have to be plagiarism. If done well, emphasis on done well, it can be a glowing endorsement. It's saying, go watch this, go play this, go read this. We would not be here without it. And that doesn't go just one way with FromSoft. That Pinocchio-ass game that I brought up earlier, Lies of P, inspired by Bloodborne. Without FromSoft, one of my favorite games of all time, Hollow Knight, wouldn't exist. Hollow Knight, the best Metroidvania ever made, took heavy inspiration from Dark Souls in terms of the corpse running mechanic, exploration and shortcuts, and world design, in which FromSoft received their inspiration from older Metroidvania games like Super Metroid, which really comes down to why I love this topic, its ability to come full circle. Shigeru Miyamoto is famously credited with saying that one of his main inspirations for the original Legend of Zelda was exploring the forests and caves of Kyoto as a kid. But as the series went on, it strayed from that original idea, becoming increasingly linear. So despite having made arguably the greatest game of all time, Ocarina of Time, he abandoned that format in favor of going back to the game's roots, which gave us Breath of the Wild, which went on to inspire Elden Ring. See, you can't get away from FromSoft, which then inspired Tears of the Kingdom. Undertale is one of the biggest games of all time. Well, actually it's not, but it seems like it is. Undertale, as this creative lightning rod, is its own completely separate being. It has inspired fan games and fan art and porn and books and cosplays and porn and music and a fuck ton of Twitter pages, and lest we forget, a lot of porn. But Toby Fox, the creator, didn't just go, I will make a Sans and he will be the funniest character on the internet. No! One of his earlier projects was a scary ROM hack for Earthbound, which it's pretty obvious. And all of this leads me into the realm of fan games and mods and ROM hacks. I've been looking for an excuse to talk about MyHouse.WAD for about a month now. MyHouse.WAD is a mod for Doom 2. Inspired by both Doom 2's community history of building models of your house in Doom, and the book House of Leaves, which has pages that look like this. The fact that someone could adapt this style into a video game and have people go, yeah, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense, is an absolute testament to both Veg, the creator of the mod, and video games as a whole. MyHouse.WAD is one of those games that just leaves you thinking. In fact, the original video I was gonna make as an excuse to talk about this was called Games I Think About Often. I'm not gonna go super far into the story because you should play it, but it is weird and trippy and clever, and I have not seen much like it. I absolutely love video games as an art form. It's one of the only mediums that can provide interactive and dynamic storytelling and give you a first-person experience of said story. Video games have this ability to creatively build on each other in an incredible way. It's Warcraft 3 getting a mod called Defense of the Ancients, or Dota, which led to both Dota 2 and League of fucking Legends, which, aside from being one of the biggest esports ever, also gave us the Netflix series Arcane. I honestly believe that video games are the greatest and most collaborative form of creative expression. For my regular viewers, I know, I'm sorry, this video wasn't 100% Nintendo Party all the time, every time, plus Bowser's Fury, but it's a topic that I very much wanted to talk about. If you enjoyed, then please consider subscribing. I do this weekly, and click here to watch a video where I gush about the storytelling in Tears of the Kingdom.